Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Narc Formula. My name's Freedom. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to jump on in, and then I am going to start talking about male narcissist and pregnancy. All right, lovelies. I'm going to jump straight on into it. So, the male narcissist and pregnancy. Well, I suppose the first thing that you need to know is that pregnancy to a narcissist, to a male narcissist, is a tool and a weapon. And also, sorry, darlings, as you come on in, say hello. If any of you have stories about pregnancy that you want to share, oh, hello, darling. Hello, hello. Uniquely made, hello. If you have any stories that you want to share, put them in the chat. I would love to hear. I'm assuming because the title of the video, we're not going to have any men in the room. We might, but I'd say the majority of us are going to be female. So feel comfortable to share your stories. Hello, Denise. Hello, darling. Thank you for joining me, girls. Yes, let me know who's in the room. Say hello, where you're from, and if you have a pregnancy story, just share it. Go for it. All right, lovelies, listen. So I have written some notes here. I personally have been pregnant to a narcissist. And so this is my kind of own observations. Also, this is from talking to other women in my consulting business. So the narcissist, the male narcissist, will use pregnancy as a weapon or a tool of control. That's the first thing. So if, for example, you're an older woman who wants to have children, they will use that, the promise of children, they will use that to keep you in the situationship for as long as possible. So if you want children, they'll dangle that kind of carrot in front of you. The carrot and stick is a reference that I would probably use in regards to pregnancy with the narcissist. Act a certain way, do a certain thing, and you might get your baby, The other thing I want to say just quickly is that narcissists are usually really on top of this stuff. So if you have fallen pregnant, it's because they want you to be pregnant, even if it's to force you to have an abortion, which is something that a lot of narcissists will, in fact, do. And just to be clear, I don't have a position on abortion one way or another. I think it's a woman's right to choose. My objection is when you have a narcissist telling a woman what to do, deliberately getting her pregnant to then force her to have an abortion. I mean, that's just as shitty and as low as you can go. But that's the kind of thing that a narcissist will and can do. So promising the pregnancy for those who want a baby, and for women who, hi Rita, hello darling, for women who do fall pregnant, if the narcissist wants you to keep the baby, you will be told things like, they'll say really cruel things. If they want you to keep the baby, not because they want a baby, let's be clear on that. Like, they don't really care about babies. They know we care about babies. They know, hey Huda, they know that we care about babies. They know that that kind of stuff matters to us. And so that gives them the perfect weapon or tool to use against us. So, as I said, the first thing, it's a weapon. The second thing, actually HG, when I did some research before today, I was doing some research. I always resort to watching HG stuff, not always, but it's just sometimes interesting to get, some real clarity, because a lot of what I think I know, when I go and listen to HG, it kind of really clarifies that, yes, I do know. I'm spot on with this stuff. So HG refers to pregnancy like an insect that lays its eggs in another host. You hear about insects that literally they lay their eggs in another insect, and the insect will carry them, those eggs. The eggs will hatch, and then the young usually devour the host, which is really gross. But that's the analogy that H.G. Tudor, who is a known narcissist, a self-confessed in therapy narcissist, that's the term he used. So, that's kind of really creepy and sinister. uniquely made. Narc waited until I couldn't get pregnant anymore to want a baby, then discarded me, saying, you can't have my kids, so we have nothing. He then took his ex-narc back to try and get her pregnant. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. This, putting the baby on the table, let's have a baby. Maybe we could have a baby, or one day it'll be you, me, and the baby. It'll be all of us. We'll have a family. It's this promise, this future faking. And it's future faking because they're not going to be around forever. They know damn well there's no such thing as forever with them. They're here for the good times only. They're here until they get what they want, and they're here until it's too hard, and then they just bugger off and, find it somewhere else. All right, lovelies. Number 2 is that children are pawns to narcissists. And what I mean by that is that from the second that the child is conceived, like I said, now they have a weapon and a tool to control you. So, for example, when they get a little bit older, the narcissist will do things like, if you have a fight, for example, if you have a fight and, you're trying to walk away, the narcissist will say to the child, tell mummy she can stay. Tell mummy to come, to come back, and we'll be a family together. I mean, this is the stuff that my dad did. My dad was a narcissist, and I remember that. I actually remember my poor mother crying because there I am, a little child, begging her to stay, not having a clue what I was doing. But my dad, on the other hand, being the narcissist that he was, fully encouraging me, to tell mummy that we can be a family if she just comes back, highly manipulative and cruel, really cruel. All right, darlings. So Denise is saying he said he wanted a baby the whole time. I ended up pregnant at the time, and the discard stressed me out so badly I miscarried. I'm sorry, darling. Yes, I'm sorry to hear that. I suppose, look, the only upside is that, to be honest, having children with the narcissist is probably, it's not a good thing. Let's put it that way. You end up basically being a single parent, or having to, be engaged in battles with the narcissist over everything. Hey, Casey. Welcome, darling. All right. So yes, children are pawns. So essentially, for example, my ex, said things like, you can go, but you're not taking the kid. Like, she's not going anywhere. That kind of thing. So you literally kind of taking your heart out, slapping on this child, and then the narcissist can do whatever the hell they want, because, they're going to stop you from taking that child if you try and leave. The facade is the next point, the facade of the perfect parent. Pregnancy allows the narcissist, it gives some kind of social recognition, as being a man, as being the head of the family, as being like a provider, El Mano. It kind of tells the world that he's virile, that he can have children, that he's not a homosexual, that he's not on the down low. And I'm laughing because, unfortunately, a lot of us have had that experience with our narcissists being on the down low. But anyhow, so, having a pregnant wife, I mean, I have actually heard of narcissists who have got their wives or girlfriends repeatedly pregnant while being on the down low, because it was the perfect facade and perfect cover-up. I mean, you look at a man who's got 7 kids and his wife's pregnant, and obviously don't think that he would be gay or on the down low. Automatically you're thinking like he loves women, he's obviously really into sex. But as Denise just rightfully says, sexual energy is fluid with them, which is correct. Like, they will go wherever they get fuel. And I don't think that their sexuality is rigid at all. I think it's very fluid. All right, so number 4, legacy. Having a child gives the narcissist a legacy. So basically, from the second that child is born, every bit of praise that the child gets, the narcissist will take it as being, you know, as fuel. So when the nurses say, oh, look at his beautiful blue eyes, you know, the narc will be sitting there back there, you know, thinking, yep, I do have beautiful blue eyes, you know, just like me. All throughout their life, you know, any, I don't know, sporting, school, you know, any awards they get, any kind of merit, any attention the child gets, the narcissist will somehow manage to make it about them, you know, so they will soak all of that fuel in. And that's essentially what a child is to them. It is another source of fuel. Just quickly, I'm just going to read a couple of comments here. So the narc told me he only needs a donor. He doesn't need the mother of a child. And if she tries to go for child support, he will take the child away and raise it with his mother. Yeah, and that's another interesting thing also. I experienced this personally, and I've never, like, I have 3 ex-husbands. Well, 2 I was married to and 1 I wasn't. But, you know, I have 3 children with 3 ex-husbands. I don't care. You know, hey, this is the times that we're living in. But the reality is that out of the 3, with the narcissist, I was really surprised. When I had my child, the first thing he tried to do was take her off me. You know, they put the child on you, right? They put the child on your breasts in hospital in Australia. And they try and encourage breastfeeding. That's one of the first things they do. Whereas what he wanted me to do was bottle feed the baby so that he could feed the baby, look after the baby. And he kind of made it sound like, you know, he would be doing me a favor. But in actuality, I realized what it was all about was about control. You know, if the child wasn't on the breast, he could take that child and go, he could do whatever he wanted, you know. So he was basically just trying to make sure that there was no kind of connection between me and the child. I mean, let's just back up. I obviously told him to go to hell and, you know, did my best to breastfeed and bond with my child as you would normally. But you know, he tried really, really hard to get in between me and my kind of natural mothering instinct. And this is what narcs do. When it comes to children, like I said, they'll use them as weapons against you, and they'll use them to control you. Hi, Mike, how you going? All right, I'm going to try and stay focused just on pregnancy, because I am actually going to do another video about children, because, you know, it is 2 really separate different things, even though obviously the child is involved. But yeah, pregnancy and children, 2 separate things with the narcissist, even though obviously there's a lot of crossover. So what a baby is not about to a narcissist, and what a pregnancy is not about. It is not about love. It is not about commitment. They're not thinking about, you know, braces, school, doctors. You know, they're not thinking about the costs of children. They're not thinking about any of that stuff. They're just thinking about the fuel that they're going to get from all the people gooing and garring about the baby, and all the people, you know, saying how gorgeous the baby is. They're thinking about all of that. They're thinking about, like I said, the control factors that they will have in place. I mean, the thing is also, you know that when you have a child, you kind of get, your hormones get a bit hijacked, essentially. You know, you kind of bond with the child. There's a connection that kind of forms between you and the father. But narcs obviously don't have that, but we do. So it makes us bond with them even more. I still quickly read some of these as we go. So, yep, he told me he would take the baby from me. Yeah, that's right. You can go, but the baby's not going anywhere. Like I said, I've heard that too many times myself and with my other clients. Controlling the children. And they don't, and that's right, they don't care about the children when it comes to, you know, the actual hard work, wiping shitty bums. Like, they don't care about doing any of that stuff. And they will get out of doing all of that stuff if they can. But when it comes to, like I said, strutting around with baby in the pram around the neighbourhood and getting a whole lot of fuel from the neighbours, oh, that's when they love being parents. And also, like I said, this facade, the facade that they are putting up, this family man, you know, it really is a facade. So you've got what they show the world, and then it creates this illusion because people look at it and they can't imagine there being anything, you know, behind the door, like behind closed doors. They can't imagine that things would be any different. But in actuality, this is just a facade, you know, covering the tyrant. Like these individuals become absolute tyrants in the home when they've got women and children and they're vulnerable, you know. So they stomp around their homes, they terrorize children, they terrorize their women. But to the world, they look like the loving, doting family man. You know, they show the kids' photos, they put all the stuff up on Facebook, you know. So, yeah, it's an illusion. I just want to quickly read some of these. If anyone's got any questions, put them in. I'm just going to leave the comments up there, but if anyone actually has a question, just put question or Q in the front of it so I know that you actually want me to answer it. But I thought HG's analogy of the insect, I thought that was creepy, right? But so real. I mean, they see you, once you're pregnant, they just see you as like an incubator. They're not worried about your well-being, you know, but they are concerned about the child's well-being. But it's more actually that they just want to be able to give you a hard time about something. And this is the perfect thing, you know. So, for example, they will give you a hard time if the house is not cleaned, but if you're cleaning the house, then they'll say, what are you doing? You're going to hurt the baby, you know, sit down. So it's, like I said, it's the perfect tool. Perfect weapon, perfect tool. All right, and the final point is this kind of showing the world how committed he is, like I said, keeping up this facade, and also this kind of idea that it's his baby. Once you become pregnant to a narcissist, you know, it's his baby. And you'll hear that term, you know, my baby, or yeah, it's definitely, like I said, they don't see you as being, they see that their role in the whole creating of the life, they see that as being equal to actually housing, growing and incubating a child for, you know, 10 months. They see their role as being equal, and they will see the child. Hey, Jason, they will see that child as being their child. So be mindful, darlings, if there are any of you who are still with narcissists, having sex with narcissists, please, 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 please get your depot shots or whatever it is that you're doing to protect yourself, because you can't rely on things like condoms, because narcissists have been known to put pinpricks in them. You cannot rely on them to, you know, use withdrawal methods, because if they want you to get pregnant, they will know exactly when you're ovulating. They know exactly where you are in your cycle, and like I said, if they want you pregnant, they will get you pregnant. It's just a matter of how long it takes. And also, actually, one more point. Look, while we're here, sorry, one more point. This is definitely a way to lock down supply. And once again, it's not about love. Narcissists do not love us. We are just fuel for them. That is all there is to it. So when you're pregnant, you know, you are essentially locked down. I mean, no other man's going to come near you for a start when you're pregnant, you know, and when you've got a young child, the same thing. So, you know, the narcissists know what they're doing. And the reason I'm saying this is because in my personal situation, with my ex who has new supply, he was engaged to her, and then for some reason the engagement just kind of, they stopped being engaged. And I found out it was because she was pregnant. See, a normal person would be like, oh, well, we're engaged, now we're pregnant, so I quickly better hurry up and get married. For the narcissist, now the engagement's off the table. Like he doesn't care about marrying her now because there's no need. He's got her locked down in a different way, and that is how the narcissist sees pregnancy and and family. It's just locking down supply. All right, hello LOA. My dad is 65 and he's a sociopath. He just married a 30-year-old stripper and just had a baby with her 2 months ago. She was just using him for money and a place to live, but she had the baby since he's rich. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a bit of karma in that relationship, obviously. He's a sociopath and she's a gold digger. So, I feel sorry for the baby. I feel sorry for you. But, like I said, yeah, their karma will play out. There's no doubt about that. Jason, I can say I have lost a lot, but have no ties to my narc. She displays her desperation all over Facebook. I just laugh. Yeah, and that is what a child is to a narcissist. It's just a tie to the mum or the other parent. They, like I said, they don't have genuine relationships. They actually compete with their children. So, as I said, I'm going to do another video about children and narcissists. And I'll keep this one focused on pregnancy, but I'll just quickly say that a child is either a fuel source or they will compete with the child for fuel, and that's pretty tragic. If you stop and think about an adult competing with a child, that's a sad state of affairs. Hey, Robin, thank you, darling. I love the channel, keep up the great work. Thank you, darling. Huda218 is saying, please, guys, don't have kids with the narcissist. It's not healthy for kids. No, it's not. Like I said, I'm going to do a video about this because I think it's really important. Because the thing is, the narcissist will mistreat children. They'll mistreat you. They'll neglect children. They will hurt and damage children. And then they will turn around and say to you, how dare you stop me from seeing my children? And try and essentially force you, and sometimes they'll go through the courts to try and force you to let them see the children that they don't even really want. They only want to force your hand. They want to control you, and they want to, they want to be in control. They want to have the power. Like I said, the court unfortunately falls for the lines, that a child needs both parents. Children only need good parents. Having a shitty parent, having no parent is better than having a shitty parent. Like a child who has a narcissist for a parent will be damaged by that child, whether it's, a female child or a male child. Like I said, male narcissists create little girls who have daddy issues, who grow up into the world with daddy issues, who choose bad men, abusive partners. I mean, I'm literally case in point. Like I said, my father was a narcissist. I went through all this stuff as a child that I am now going through as an adult. So I speak, from personal experience. All right. My dad's dating a gold digger. She gets everything she wants most of the time, except my dad is in his late 50s, very sociopathic as well. Yep. Oh, wait, look, I'm always a little bit sus. I got to be honest. I'm always a little bit sus on relationships when there's that kind of really big age gap. I don't think that's healthy. Like people say, oh, age is a number. And sure, age is a number. But I have never, ever met anyone who's 20 years younger than me who I've, turned around and thought, wow, that was amazing. They were just so insightful. Usually when there's that kind of age gap, there's usually something going on, something not quite right. And the narcissists love having younger partners. Nothing better than someone easier to control. Hello, Yasmin. All right, darlings. If anyone's got any questions, like I said, now's the time to ask it because I'm going to be jumping off. I'm going to try and do lives once or twice a week. I'm going to try and set them up for the same time for about half an hour so that we all know where to be at what time. I think that will help. All right, lovelies. Yeah. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, LOA. I'm sure that's Law of Attraction. Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you, Uniquely Made. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Denise. Thank you all for joining me. And yeah, get narc free and stay narc free, darlings. You know, and like I said, if you're with a narcissist, please get your depot shots. Is that what it's called? Depot Vera? I think that's what it's called. It's been a while for me, so I don't know. All right, lovelies. I'm going to head on out of here, and yep, I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay, bye. Thank you for joining me. Bye.